I was at a seminar where a business owner was on stage and talking about how his goal was to reach $100 million in revenue. And there's another guy that everyone knows online these days, Alex Hormozy, who always publicly declares that his goal is to hit $1 billion in revenue through his portfolio companies. And I was thinking about goals like this, and I was really curious where they come up with these numbers. But if I'm being honest, I know where it's coming from because I used to do this too. I would just pick like the next round number that seemed like a lot, basically. Like, oh, we did 500,000 this year. Let's shoot for 1 million next year, we did 1 million, let's do 1.5 or 2. And it was always just like, more is better. But as time has gone on, I've actually stopped picking revenue goals entirely. And I've started to move towards goals around impact and lifestyle. So goals that define how much impact am I going to be able to make to help people, and what's my day-to-day life going to look like. Obviously, I'm trying to make more money, but at the end of the day, if I'm making enough to pay my bills, support my family, support that lifestyle, I'm actually good with that. It's more about building my career in an authentic way, in a fun way that's true to me, that doesn't have me doing anything that I don't want to do, or acting how I don't want to act, or you know what I mean, or doing anything that feels disingenuous or just fake, and so I think when we play this game of picking big revenue goals out of the air, it's almost like a like a pissing contest or something, like who did the most gross revenue. But that really doesn't take into account so many other things. Like, what is the product that you're even selling that's making all this money? Is it awesome? Is it really helping people? What's your client success rate? What about the happiness of your employees and things like that? And how do you rate the difference that you're making in the world? And I don't really think revenue is it. And so I'm just sharing this with you because I think about this stuff in a different way, and I invite you to consider it as well. I really don't think how much money you make matters that much. I realize that in the business world, it does for like credibility purposes. Like they'll say, our next speaker has generated over $50 million in sales. Let's welcome to the stage, and everybody immediately perks up because obviously that signifies a lot of experience. So I do get that. But I just think that there's something deeper that we could focus on when we're setting our goals for the year. And it can even be around, like in my vision document that I read like throughout the year to remind myself, there's a lot about like, who is the person that I want to be this year? And it's, a person who's present and at peace and has positive energy and stuff like that. one of my coaches taught me the idea of be, do, and have. And so basically in life, it starts with who you are being in the moment. And then from that, it goes to what you are doing. And then from the being plus the doing, you get the having. The having is kind of a byproduct of who you are being, and what you are doing. And that helped me a lot because I was just trying to do a lot without focusing on who I was being. And I was like a ball of anxious, just mess, trying to crush through to-do lists and stuff, and just thinking that and I, I've always had success like on the material level, like, well above average income and a below average amount of like working hours. But like for a lot of my career, I wasn't like at peace. I was just kind of frazzled and anxious, and I never really felt like I could stop working, like literally after dinner, it's like, oh, I got 30 minutes, go get my laptop and try to do something. Don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to flip it open and mess around until I find something. I'm actually going to record another episode after this about this idea of productivity guilt, because that's something that I've finally figured out how not to have. But for the most of my career, I always had that hanging over me. And, to wrap this all up, I think that if you look at those guys who are like, we did 50 million in sales and we're going to do 100 million. Like if you spend a day with them and you were around their energy and you watched how hard they work and stuff, well, I don't know about you, but I really think that I would be pretty turned off by all of that. I think that there's something underneath those types of revenue goals. I think those are at risk of being like just an ego-driven kind of goal. And the problem with operating via the ego, if you've ever studied any spiritual works that talk about the ego, like Eckhart Tolle's books, is that nothing is ever enough for the ego. No matter how much you do, it will always want more and it will always feel inferior, because the ego thrives on a comparison game. And it's a losing game, and it's an unhappy game. And so I invite you to think about playing a deeper game in life and seeing your business through that lens. That's all I got for you guys today. Hope that helps somebody out there. Have a great rest of your day. I will see you next time.